understood that this energy ball, this part of me that was like a human aspect of me, yet it's not a psyche part of me as such. It has been. I've cleared layers and layers of that. There are layers to this, and for some coming in, there might be more layers. For even you guys, there might be some more layers. Where mine was really becoming prominent and the focus was this kind of mental body distortion. And so until something mental, requiring quite a lot of, stakeholders in this, players amongst, the grandparents and the various other parents, and then the kids and all the players. Like there's about 8 different factors here of people that need to be aware of all of what's happening and be in on the same page. And yeah, so I kind of was in that, like there's the masculine trying to do all the practical of it all, but not getting very practical with it, because then it's distorted and trying to please the other parts of masculine. That's the distorted part, trying to please the masculine and belong, trying to, and then it starts to play up with the feminine, and that any distortions in the feminine start to come through as well. And so it's just this whole thing where, okay, this is not working in a unified union of masculine, feminine, and from a divine point of view. So there is something that had to be sorted. I started to really go, okay, what do I do with this? Like at the time, it was like, yep, okay, I feel it. I didn't know what to do with it. I kind of had an understanding, and then that understanding started to evolve more into words over the evening and into the night. And then I started to realize the energy and the pain that was getting right up my neck and my head was like, okay, I just need to accept it. This is my body. This is it pushing right up against my body, needing to be brought in. It's not what I would call a shadow per se. It's really just bringing my pillar of self, the flame of me, into alignment so that it can be the marrying to the flame of what is my star fire in our bellies, right? And so this all relates very much to the lower chakras. And then that star fire being able to reach into the fires of earth and through the suns and come back up into our heart fire, and then being able to burn off the dross and have a much more clearer, logical mind of, like, you can feel the knowledge of many dimensional portals and information right through the source, right? So expanding that ability to have that mercurial knowledge that doesn't get bogged down in anything, can move and fluidly move with what's required, what is happening, what is to partake in and what is to not. And so your brain, right, that right side, left side, becomes more of a unified brain. It becomes more fired up in a way that sees the pituitary and the pineal gland and whatever else that all connects to as a nervous system, as a nerval brain going beyond you into the internal world of dimensional time and space and beyond, source, right? Who you really are, that all connecting in. So big words amongst all of it, because it's not your usual, oh yeah, you've got to balance your masculine and feminine. It's one of the many layers again. I also see it that for some people, it may be more the feminine that throws, the distorted feminine can be, and it'll probably sit on the other side, but it doesn't have to. It could all be anywhere within our field, right? That you're just feeling this thrown out energies that possibly at some point in this lifetime were thrown out of this body, but also that you're opening up the portals of the body to all of the dimensional state of you, and to the dimensional state of Earth itself, and the dimensional state of the galaxies, and so these portals of connection, these layers of dimensional connection, these are just parts of that layer. So as I said, it could well be coming from wartime in galactic experiences. It could be coming from other things that we haven't even got in our history books. And so the many different forms of what we see on the planet of this distorted masculine, but then also in smaller sort of family groups, how it's this thing of either the feminine female kind of, I need the female, perhaps the mother, or whatever, that you start to distort with women in another way, where you're desperately wanting women to like you and be a part of it, but at the same time you're not really in your divine feminine, which would be more like empathic in a compassionate acceptance way rather than a competitive way. And competition again is distorted masculine. And so that's why you see so many females competing, but it's actually a distorted masculine pattern. And it's part of the matrix. It's what the matrix thrives on because it feeds it, right? It keeps it going. And it's very mental. Now, funnily enough, with all this, it's taken me all week to kind of get to some kind of comprehension, and it all came together really well yesterday when they sent me to some stuff by Natalia Elba. I used to follow a bit of her stuff. She has a blog, and I think there's stuff on Facebook and whatever. But I was sent to her thing and sent to specific blogs since February, and I probably haven't looked at her stuff for, I don't know, I can't even tell you when. And so it was interesting because she then was talking about, and it was on, what did I print this from? Saturday, June the 28th. She was talking about Uranus in Gemini. And that we are entering into a wisdom portal emphasized by Uranus moving into Gemini and the 7-7 passage. Now, here we are on Monday, actually at that passage, the 7th of the 7th, and me saying there's something about this Uranus Gemini that I can't comprehend. It's not necessarily what everybody's talking about. But she was sort of talking about, oh, yeah, there's certain things she said to it all, and, it's initiating new trajectories, shifting patterns, blah, 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 right? But she said Uranus is a catalyst for change, and in Gemini, it comes to transform our minds. And I thought I couldn't have had a mind F week, like a bigger mind F week than this week, right? It shows us where we are still attached to the old, where we are not growing, evolving, and hence living our best ways. We're living the old ways. It brings about aspects of us that have died or are to die, that are or are remaining soul fragmented, dwelling in the shadows, even though they are too a part of us. And I kind of thought, oh, this is like dwelling in my auric field, distorted. And there's certain things, obviously, that trigger it. And then I can't think. And then I can't deal. And then my feminine tries to take over to balance it. And of course, she becomes distorted or overly active, extreme, right? So there was this kind of, okay, I get it. But it's about just energy management, pulling this energy into us. And it wasn't about it being distorted in the sense it's a shadow. It was more just, you got to line yourself up here, pull in this fire, let it into the body. And so I had a lot of, there was nights where I'd be really cold and nights where, parts of the night really cold and then really hot. And so I think it has been very much a flame thing going on for the week. So there's I'll just read some of the bits that they've highlighted from these things. These are important changes for us to start freeing our mind, as Uranus in Gemini invites us to do, from limitations, distortions, and impediments, to see our true power and reality. Uranus is a great accelerator of change, a great awakener, and it is now in this transitional window when many will begin liberating themselves from fear, mental slavery, and that's what that was, mental slavery, projecting into the future, trying to control everybody, trying to do it all, and from a soul level even, like from a higher dimensions of me that have the capacity to do that. They're all kind of employed all of a sudden when they don't need to be. These people need to be, like my son and my brother, need to be left to their own. I do not need to be expending my energy into their field, nor do they need it. Particularly now when there's all these other things and everybody has to start taking their own path. But it also is taking away from my own energies, right? My own creational power. So I was really recognizing that mental slavery. And the deep polarization they are immersed in. And this is our own polarization with ourselves, that we can't even function well with our feminine and masculine, and it becoming a more unified, you might even call it, there is no sex to it. It is just purely this essence of self that works really well, the halves of one. And so it is, again, moving from duality to this one flame and being connected in unity within self first, as well as across the paths of connecting with your other fragments of self, not fragments, but aspects of self that operate as different beings, as different timelines, and still a part of the universal experience or cosmic experience. All of that you are, right? The infinite nature of you. Yeah, so Uranus in Gemini is going to represent a mental reset, and I'll talk to you guys shortly about has any of this and how does it feel. But if you feel like you've been in a weird mental space for this since sort of June coming through, so a mental reset, invited to start recalibrating and balancing our nervous systems, our mind, and our entire brain complex. And so I'd already come to these conclusions, and then I'm reading it here and here and going, oh, this is why I love it when the plan comes together. But it's that part of it where I had no idea this was coming. None. Did not have a worry in the world when we did Monday last week, and then it all just came afterwards, boom. And so it was that thing of, oh, here we go. I have to go through the fire. I have to go through the mechanisms. I cannot bypass this. And that's that parts of ourselves that we can't bypass. We have to bring that back into our physicality, that mental sort of state of us, that energy of us, whatever it is, in whether it's distorted feminine, distorted masculine, in order for us to work beautifully. I can see that kind of snake thing happening, but there's also this marrying of the mental brain. And so that we become far more clarified, far more clear, far more decision oriented when we make decisions and move with things, and also the ability to sit back and discern, and on top of that to pull from very broad knowledge bases and have these downloads and drop-ins and follow and flow with that, and the ability to sit back and not have to go bullet a gate at something like distorted masculine would do, or to blow up and freak out like distorted feminine would do and implode on itself. All of these things they're the healing. That's part of what's being realigned. So where was I at here? So we're to achieve a more balanced state between heart and mind, for it is all about learning how to act within divine love and heart-mind coherence at the same time to obtain soul-aligned outcomes. It is a time for us to correct our mental bodies, our minds, and adapt to the organic change that needs to occur for us to move into the next level of consciousness. Missing a few sentences, integrating the higher mind into our human lower one, creating more synthesis, and that's where that feminine masculine marrying and union within comes, and balance between our human self and divine one. So it's like, cool. So then I looked at something else she had back in 3rd of July. So it was another one of her blogs. What I've highlighted here is we need to remember that it is not just about restoring the female, but about restoring the authentic values of the divine masculine so it can embrace again the divine feminine energy. Say that again, because that sentence was like, whoa, hang on. We need to remember that it is not just about restoring the female, but about restoring the authentic values of the divine masculine so it can embrace again the divine feminine energy. She was calling it a reclamation of the divine masculine pillar, which she said began last year with planetary retrieval energies. And that's what part of that portal was. There was that whole thing where we're opening to the Syrian portal. But there was something in here too. I didn't highlight it, but I read it amongst the things too, Ray, that said part of what was going on at the moment was opening up the seventh dimension, I think. And so many or eighth dimension, maybe both, many planets that have that dimension to them, we're connecting to that. And and that one of them was Arcturus. So I was like, hence the Arcturians, hence them bringing through the Syrian energies for us to connect to. That maybe, like I said to you guys, I didn't really have a feeling for it. Maybe that's a feminine energy I was missing. Maybe it's a divine masculine I've been missing. Maybe it's energies I needed, just the keys to resolve, like what, and to recognize that I even had this distorted masculine energetic thing that I needed to just bring into the back of me and absorb and just say, like, I was like, oh, do I need to say stuff, love it, do all this stuff? It was like, no, you're just claiming your energy back. You're powering your body up. It's bringing it into a physicality that says, no, I'm a pillar of light from heaven to earth, and I'm bringing all of me into that flow. And so, yes, my masculine is to come in regardless of what it is or isn't, so it can be retuned and resolved and even and alchemized within the physical changes my body needs to have.